It's time for Real Estate 101 with the Karey Brown team from Realty Executives Preferred Advisors.
Good Sunday morning to you. This is Karey Brown, broker owner of Realty Executives Preferred Advisors, and you're listening to Real Estate 101. Today I'm here with Julie Scott. Julie is with the Dillon House here in Topeka. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
We're going to be talking about all the great things that have to do with the Dillon House, including the history, the different events that they host, and so we'll just get started.
All right.
Let's talk about the Dillon House. Tell me about the history.
So the Dillon House was built in 1911 to Hiram and Susie Dillon. Susie was a Topeka native, and Hiram was an attorney. They fell in love, and she dragged him back to Kansas and said, "You need to practice here in Topeka, Kansas." Hiram received the majority of his wealth from doing a royal heiress divorce, so they knew they wanted to have a bigger place and to entertain because they loved having guests. So they bought the property from the Crane family, which is a native Topeka name, and another family's property. They knocked down their homes and then decided to build their dream home on top of that. It took about 3 years to build, so while it was being built, Susie felt really homeless, so she forced Hiram to take her to Europe, and they spent the whole time shopping and enjoying the culture. So most of the features of the Dillon House that are still there today do come from Europe. The big thing for the Dillon House was the first floor was completely designed for entertaining, since they loved having people over. And then the second floor was the family homes, and then the third floor was their servants' quarters. So they definitely knew what they were doing when they built this home. The Pioneer Group purchased the home just a little over 3 years ago and restored it back to its original estate. They put about $5.5 million into the home to bring it back to its original glory, and they knew it was special. So turning it into an event venue just really made sense for them. The Pioneer Group, this was kind of a new thing for them. They focus on taking historic homes and buildings and bringing them back to life and using them for low-income housing and elderly living. So the Dillon House was a big change, but definitely worth it in the long run.
So tell me, what it is that you do at the Dillon House?
Well, I was recently promoted to the events director. My main focus is putting events together from the beginning and foreseeing them all the way through the final project, even like the day after, reflecting of what went down. I focus a lot of time with the client that's having their event here, making sure that all their needs are met and they understand what kind of complications can happen during an event, and helping them, ensure that things like this won't happen. And if they do, because things sometimes happen, what we can do to make sure that it just flawlessly smooths over. We also work with catering one-on-one. We have 4 premier catering companies that we work with. We have a Boots Catering, which just won Best of Topeka, so we're really proud of having them here at the Dillon House. We also have Blue Moose Bar and Grill, which obviously is a Topeka and Kansas restaurant. We have Paisha's Catering Service, which they're most well known for their barbecue, but they make wonderful meals regardless of what style it is. And then Culinaria, which is a restaurant in Lawrence, and they are a fine dining experience. We feel really lucky to have these 4 catering staff working with us because they really know what clients need.
So tell me, what are some typical things that happen or that could go wrong whenever you're doing an event?
Oh, man. We've had some times where the bride realized there's no flowers. That was a really scary one we had. And, you just got to sit down and decide, is it important to have somebody run off real fast when you have 15 minutes before the ceremony starts? Or do you just say, oh, well, and nobody's going to notice anyway? In the end, the bride in particular was like, well, I got my bouquet, so who matters about anybody else's? So obviously nobody noticed. It was not that big of a deal. But sometimes these details are they mind-boggling to people, and they don't know how to proceed from there. So that's why I try to be there as much as possible for support. Ultimately, any decision made is up to the client, but I'm kind of there just coaching them. Oh, well, if you do this, nobody's really going to know. Another instance we've had one time, the catering table collapsed, and that was
a mess.
Oh, my goodness. Horrible. But luckily, part of working with the catering companies we do, they have to stay in the building, in the house. Most of the time, they're foreseeing the food table, too. So they were there right when it happened and was able to clean everything up as fast as possible and bring out more food. Obviously, the catering company felt horrified by what happened, but in the end, everything worked out. You just got to brush off the stress and just move on and continue with the event to keep it going.
So I recently served some time at the Dillon House through the MDA fundraiser that they had. So, the MDA jail.
Yes.
So that was fun.
They actually host that every year. It's a lot of fun to see all the different characters. We even had the Roadrunner hockey mascot for Topeka come by, and he was locked up for a while. That was pretty cool.
He wasn't there when I was there. That would have been fun.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the different types of events that the community can hold at the Dillon House.
The nice thing about the Dillon House is that it is a house. So there's separate rooms, but the way that they're put together, they flow very well. So we can host a small intimate party of 12 people to a 250-person cocktail-style reception. Obviously, weddings are beautiful at the Dillon House. We have the grand staircase that brides can make their grand entrance through, beautiful woodwork, the gorgeous fireplaces, really just kind of decorates the way that the home, it really just brings out a nice feature so they don't have to do much. The decorations are already there. But also we've had funeral services at the Dillon House. Big families come in and they get to enjoy thinking and remembering someone's life and celebrating together. I've even had birthday parties, anniversaries. A lot of big events happen here, but the small ones seem to be the most exciting for me because I get to meet all different kinds of people. Business meetings in particular. We have hills over at the Dillon House all the time. We enjoy them being there. It's kind of cool to hear them talk about cats and dogs and all their different projects that they're doing. But they have breakout sessions. And the most time that I spend with people is during the legislative session. We have a lot of legislation socials there, meeting all different kinds of people. So really, it's just like a hodgepodge. You can go from a huge event to a small event in just, a matter of minutes. It's nonstop there.
How would one get a hold of you to book events?
You can do it numerous ways. The best way to get a hold of me is by phone. You can call the Dillon House office at 785-290-0073. Usually I'm the one that picks up the phone, so right away you'll be able to talk to me. Or you can email me at info@dillonhouse.com.
And how do they find you? I know you have to have a Facebook page and all that good stuff.
Oh, definitely. We actually have a Dillon House website. It's just Dillon House Events. I try to post there almost daily about things that are going on, different events that we're hosting, and even open house events like the First Friday event we had and the Mayor Forum that was hosted earlier this month as well.
And so they just look up Dillon House?
Yep, just search Dillon House Events, and we're the only one that will pop up for you.
Awesome. And if you'd like to check us out, our Facebook page is Realty Executives Preferred Advisors Team, or if you just look up Preferred Advisors Team, that's probably the easiest way. And we're on Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, all that stuff. And our website, if you're looking for a home, our website has all 4 MLSs, so you can look in all of Northeast Kansas. And our website's the only place that you can find that. You can't even find that accurate information on Zillow. So if you go to nekansashomes.com, so that, again, that gets you all of the homes in Northeast Kansas. And if you would give us a call us at 785-213-5188. If you'd like to email us at preferredadvisorsteam@gmail.com. And here we're going to listen to a word from our sponsors, which is Jim Garrison from State Farm and Vista Credit Union, Security First, and Carpet One. Join us again after the break. We're going to be talking more about the Dillon House and how it all came about.
This is Stephen Parkin at Vista Credit Union. Purchasing a home is one of the most exciting and important decisions someone can make. Let me tell you why Vista is the best choice for financing your new home purchase. First, quick pre-approval process. Our fast decision-making gives you the power to act quickly and make an offer on your dream home. Second, local servicing. We service your mortgage in-house. You won't get a long-distance runaround, but a committed professional whose only job is to help you. Third, experienced team. We are dedicated to simplifying the process and educating you through the home buying process. Come by Vista. It's okay to dream. In fact, it's encouraged. We are your home buying partner. Give us a call at 785-228-0149.
Southwest Topeka has a good neighbor, State Farm agent Jim Garrison, now at 29th and Urish. If your current insurance situation has you going around in circles, get off the roundabout and stop in and meet Jim and his wonderfully efficient staff. Let Jim Garrison give you a quote and make the Garrison comparison. He's confident that with State Farm's competitive rates, the right coverage, and his unmatched service, you'll want to make him your new insurance agent. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and Jim Garrison is there for you, northeast of the roundabout at 29th and Urish.
So let's talk about the owners again, because they sound like really cool people, the original owners.
Yes, Hiram and Susie.
Tell me more about them.
So Hiram was from Iowa, and like I said, Susie was from Topeka, Kansas. Susie actually was a socialite, so she would go and play at taverns and bars and sing and play the piano. When Hiram and Susie were in Europe while the home was being built, they purchased Goldie, who is a beautiful baby grand piano. We are fortunate enough to have it still in the home, which is available for people to play. She's hooked up to a humidifier, so she's kept tuned 24/7. Just a beautiful, beautiful piano. The clients that come in, I've had people play her while they're coming down the aisle. Or even just like a simple social hour background music. It's just such a gorgeous piano, such a beautiful piece of history. The story would go that after Hiram and Susie would have guests over, they would split up. Susie would take the women into the music room, and they would play the piano and sing songs. And then Hiram would take the men up to the 3rd floor to his personal art gallery / cigar room. So they really knew how to entertain their guests. They had a great time. And speaking of art, we just recently this summer was able to locate Hiram and Susie's original paintings that predate the house. I believe it's 1907 of when they were painted. They are now being displayed in our west wing of the house. We had a huge welcome home Hiram and Susie party. It's just really nice to finally have faces of the people that we have fallen in love with and enjoyed stories about them. One of the great things that Hiram and Susie were known for was being so great to the community and the people in Topeka. There's a wonderful story that I was told about how Hiram and Susie really wanted to give back to the children. They, every Christmas, would go to the post office and take all the Dear Santa letters, and they would go and purchase gifts off those lists and hand them out. Of course, they did this in secrecy, so So nobody ever knew who the secret Mr. and Mrs. Claus was until one year a reporter did some huge investigations and ended up figuring out it was Hiram and Susie Dillon. Unfortunately, Hiram and Susie did not want to be known for their generosity, so after they were exposed, they never did it again.
Oh.
Yeah, so way to go, reporter, for ruining that one.
No kidding. There were a lot of kids that missed out because of you.
Most definitely. That could have been a tradition that could have carried on. Who knows? Another cool story that I've heard about Hiram and Susie is that they donated all the money to build Auburn's first multiracial swimming pool, which is a really huge thing for that time period. Unfortunately, it has since been filled in because of an outbreak of polio, but it's a great story to hear about how wonderful they were about bringing everybody together. Unfortunately, Hiram passed away in 1917, so he didn't get to enjoy his house very long. He suffered a heart attack while he was out on business. The family did stay in the home, though. Susie carried on her years until the 1930s, and then their son and his family lived in the home for quite a while. And then the home was sold to the insurance group in about the 1940s. And unfortunately, that's where you see most of the damage of the house was done. But you can't really get mad at the insurance company because back then they weren't thinking this was going to be in a historic venue. They were just seeing it as a place where they could have business. So there was a beautiful pergola porch that faced the west wing of the state capitol. They bricked that completely up and used it for cubicle space. There also were two gorgeous fireplaces in the west wing that were more ornate than the one that's in the Grand Hall. And if you've ever been to the Dillon House, that fireplace in the Grand Hall is just breathtaking. Unfortunately, they did take those two out, so the Pioneer Group found it impossible to replicate from the photos, so we just put in some simple fireplaces. Other neat features of the home include that the wood floors are the original wood floors from 1911. They're gorgeous. Most of the woodwork throughout the home is completely original. There's also an original chandelier that hangs in the Grand Hall. It used to be in the dining room back when Susie and Hiram resided there, but the Pioneer Group thought it just looked much more grand in the Grand Hall, so they moved it in there so everybody could see when they entered the home. Other features of the home is every single bedroom has a fireplace. Of course, we don't use the fireplaces because we don't want the house to catch on fire. There was a fire in the 1990s, so we're really scared that that's going to happen again. We don't want that to happen. Luckily, the fire was easily put out. There was minimal damage, and the design team was able to replicate anything that was damaged just to a T. You wouldn't even know. But the fireplaces are still there, and they're obviously beautiful in every bedroom. Other features of the home are lions. So Dillon stands for De Leon, which means the lion. And you will see when you go through the home, lions everywhere. The Dillons really love the lions. Obviously, when you come to the home, the first thing you see is the lion statues out front. Those are the original lions that Hiram purchased before they even had the home. There's lions in the staircase railings. There's little lions on the chandeliers and the oil lamps. It's kind of fun whenever kids come. We always ask them to find as many lions as they can and tell us how many they found. If I remember correctly, there's 48 lions throughout the home. So it's a lot of fun picking and choosing which ones you can find.
No kidding. So how did these two meet? If she's from Topeka and he's from Idaho, I mean, that's just a huge gap, especially back in those days. It's not like they could just hop in the car or jump a plane.
Right, of course. Well, obviously, Hiram was out on business, and he wasn't even in Topeka yet, and Susie was a socialite. They met in a bar. So it's the great American love story. She serenaded him with her beautiful songs, and from what I was told, it was love at first sight. She tugged at those heartstrings, and probably a couple beers might have helped too.
So when your mom tells you that you won't ever meet the love of your life in a bar, you just tell them all the Dillons did.
Right. And I mean, Susie made out. Hiram obviously had a great career and built her this beautiful $5 million mansion on top of it. So your next big love might actually be at the back of the bar. You never know.
You never know. So it sounds like they were way ahead of their times. Let's talk about some of the really cool things that they had in the house that, today you wouldn't even dream of.
Well, one of the neat things in history is that the Dillon House actually was one of the first homes in the United States, first in Kansas, to have a electric elevator inside. You didn't see things like that at this time. If you think about when the Dillon House was being made, 1911, the west wing of the Capitol was being built, and also the neighborhood of Potwin was being developed. So that kind of gives you a nice ring of time. And it's kind of comical because Hiram built that home not wanting to showcase his wealth, but when you put an elevator in the middle of the
you
house... You
kind of just did.
Yeah, you really are saying, hey, look at me. But that's a really neat feature of the home. Obviously, the elevator is not original in the home now. It's been relocated to the back of the house for easier access, and it is updated to the 2017 standards. One of the other neat features that used to be on the property was the turntable garage. I don't know if many people know this, but back in the 1900s, cars did not go backwards. So the husband, obviously not the wife, would go outside and crank the garage so it would turn completely around so they could get their car out of the garage. So that's a cool feature that they had back then. Obviously, the turntable garage isn't there anymore, but it's just a neat little slice of reminding of how much we've changed throughout the history of time.
Yeah, you can actually back up your car.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Imagine that. So the Dillons also had servants in their home. They had their own bedrooms on the third floor right next to that cigar room and art gallery. But the neat feature about the servants' quarters is they all have closets. And you didn't see that during that time. Most of the time, servants didn't really have much of a space. And let me tell you, the bedrooms for the servants are bigger than my own bedroom. And their closets are bigger than any closet I've really ever seen in a home that I've been in. So they really took well care of their servants. We've actually had family members come and visit the Dillon House since we've opened as an event venue. And they've told us how many stories that their family members have had about how great the Dillons were. So these people, just because they were an attorney and had some money, they were not snobby rich folk. They generally did love Topeka and love the people here.
So let's talk more about the Dillon House. I know whenever you're planning an event, you guys also have things that they can rent too, correct?
Right. If anything you rent from the Dillon House, we will manage for you, which is a really nice thing for brides or even just a dinner party to have the advantage of just showing up and enjoying their event. That's one of the key features we have. Any linens you rent from us, they'll already be out on the table for you. Decoration centerpieces. Like I mentioned, we are a flameless facility. We do offer a very wide variety of flameless candles, and they aren't just the simple Walmart style flameless candles. These are the high-end candles that look real. Some of them are even made from Disney, so you get a little extra there. They use them for their Haunted Mansion. Other things you can utilize, if you are a bride, you have the option of getting ready in one of our 2 bridal rooms, which are the family's original bedrooms. We have Susie's bedroom and their son's bedroom, which sounds a little weird that Susie had her own bedroom, but back then, husband and wife, they like to have their own space. So Susie had her own bedroom. Other key features we have at the Dillon House, we have a complete catering kitchen in the basement. So if catering does need to start making something from scratch, it's available so your food doesn't get cold. We have hot boxes, a full-size refrigerator, and ice box. We really try to do our best to make sure that everything is there. So, like I said, you can just show up and enjoy your event. Everybody's doing their job. You don't have to worry about it. And if something isn't going right, I'm going to take care of it for you. You never need to worry about anything.
That's awesome. You don't hear that very often. So they really get great one-on-one service because they've got you helping them along the way, correct?
Right. And anytime they need me, I'm available for them. From the first time you come into the house and take a tour, I give you that personalized contact. I'll reach out to you again to make sure that you didn't have any more questions to ask or concerns. After the booking process starts, I reach out to you as much as possible to make sure that you are comfortable with what's going on. Any questions you may have, I address them as soon as possible. I like to have my brides come in and visit me at least 3 times, if not more, before their wedding happens. And really, when it comes to that last month, I tell the bride, just come in as much as you need to ensure that you're comfortable with what's going on, because that really is a stressful time. It's really hard to think that you're going to be perfect, which I try to remember everybody. Nothing's perfect, but that's why we try to be there for you to smooth out all those extra wrinkles that may show up.
So again, let's talk about the website. I noticed that there are pictures from the original home. There's a lot of history information, and that is found at, what's the website address?
It's dillonhouse.com. There's a lot of photos on there from what the house used to look like to now, as well as a lot of information about what went on during the restoring process, some tidbits here and there about Susie and Hiram. And it really just kind of goes into a lot of detail over the features in the home. Things like I didn't mention, like the stained glass windows, where they came from. Really everything that's on there that's just amazing. You could pretty much find all the information right there on the website.
That's awesome. And again, to find you on social media, how do they find you?
You can look us up. It's Dillon House Events. You can send me a message right there on Facebook if you'd like, and I will get a hold of you as soon as I can. Or you can email me at info@dillonhouseevents.com, or just give me a call. It's 785-290-0073.
And again, if you're looking to buy or sell a home, be sure and visit our website to find all of the homes listed in Northeast Kansas at nekansashomes.com. You can also get information as a seller about your home at TopekaHomeAdvisors.com. You can email us at preferredadvisorsteam@gmail.com. And you can also give us a call at 785-213-5188 and find us on social media. We post all of our open houses, anything we have for sale, and we're going to start running some really cool prized events for our followers. So be sure and check that out to win some pretty cool prizes at Preferred Advisors Team on Facebook. And we'll most likely share that on Twitter and Pinterest and all those good things too. So be sure and get involved. We'd love to know more about you. Again, give us a call at 785-213-5188. And thanks for listening to Real Estate 101.
Thank you for listening to Real Estate 101 with the Karey Brown team from Realty Executives Preferred Advisors. Tune in again next Sunday at 11 o'clock for Real Estate 101.